And we're back again. It's the Horror Guys.
That's us.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
And we're here to talk about some horror movies.
We are. We got a bunch of good stuff this week. Well, we got a bunch of stuff this week.
We got good and bad this week.
We do. It's a mix.
It's a mix.
All right. As we mentioned last time, we have an all-new weekly email that contains all our reviews from the site, plus bonus reviews that you won't get here on the podcast. It's extra stuff.
Check them out, eh?
Over the coming weeks, we'll be adding to the bonus material quite a bit. But so far, the ones you can find on the email that you can't find here: Halloween 2, Dracula 1979, Giantess Attack versus Mechafembot, which just never gets old saying that one.
No, it doesn't.
Trends from 2020, Wicked Ones, also from 2020. And just this past week, we had Vincent Price films, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, and Dr. Phibes Rises Again.
There's some classics.
Oh, yeah. Just go to horrorbulletin.substack.com and sign up for all our reviews in your email. But what's better than Dr. Phibes and 2 Dr. Phibes films? A whole frickin' book of Vincent Price films.
No.
Yeah.
Who would put that together? I know
Me
who.
and you.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. The Horror Guy's Guide to the Horror Films of Vincent Price is available today. Find a link in the show notes, and it covers every single one of Vincent Price's horror films and several other significant films that weren't horror. More than 50 films are covered. Find it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and a bunch of other places. Just check out horrorguys.com/books for a link to this one and our other books. So, episode 143. What do we got?
Well, we got Old, a brand new movie.
Well, is it old or is it new?
It's new.
A new movie.
And it's old.
Called Old. Gotcha.
In the final installment in the Phantasm movies, Ravager.
Okay.
An indie-ish film called Menopause.
Oh, we're both going to have menopause this week.
And a found footage horror movie called Bigfoot on the Trail of Discovery.
Oh, Bigfoot. That sounds cool.
Did I get the title right? Is it On the Trail of Discovery?
On the Trail of Bigfoot.
On the Trail of Bigfoot.
The Discovery.
The Discovery.
Yes. All right, and we'll have a short film.
Lobster Girl.
Oh my, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are
Here
you ready?
we go. But first, our first movie this week is going to be Old from 2021. But before we tell you what we think of it, we got a big ol' announcement for you this week.
You mean the DVDs?
There's DVDs.
Yeah.
There's Blu-rays. There's digital codes.
They were nice enough to send us some promotional copies.
We've got 5.
We watched one, and we have all 5 to give away.
We got 5. Count of 5 copies of M. Night Shyamalan's.
Shyamalan?
Yeah, who knows?
M. Night.
You know who we mean. M.
M.
Night. The movie called Old to Give Away. Here's how this is going to work. So you can get your free copy. Your one copy we're going to send to a random Twitter follower at Horror Movie Guys, our main Twitter account. One copy to a random Twitter follower of @Horror Bulletin, the Twitter account that goes with the email. One copy to a random subscriber to the newsletter, horrorbulletin.substack.com. And 2 copies, this won't be announced on the website, this is just for you guys, 2 copies of listeners to the podcast who email us at email@horrorguys.com.
Yes, that's right. All you have to do is send an email. First 2, or is it going to be random 2?
We're going to cut it off on November 22nd.
Okay.
So it will be random of however many emails we get at that time.
All right.
Not the first 2. You don't have to hurry. Podcast people, yeah, you could be listening in 2 weeks. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as of November 22nd, we'll be making our random selections and notifying you if you won one of the 5 copies. And again, this is the full package you get at the store. It's got the DVD, it's got the Blu-ray, and it's got a digital download code. So you get whatever you got, you can run this thing. Also, remember that the Horror Bulletin Twitter account and the Horror Bulletin newsletter are both pretty new for us, and they don't have a huge number of subscribers yet. So that's probably your best bet for winning.
Odds are good.
Yeah.
May the odds always be in your favor.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about this movie. And old, yes.
And you know how M. Night's movies are. There's, well,
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
historically, it's a setup, and it's never what you think, or you don't know how it's going to end, or there's some twist, or so you are warned, especially on this one. We knew very little going into it, and I think that in general, his movies are more enjoyed
Going
not
in
knowing.
blank. Yeah.
Going in blank. So especially on this one, it's a spoiler warning.
Yes, probably should have put this one at the end of the podcast so people could skip over it. But, oh well, too late. So, if you haven't seen Old yet, or you're going to hold off and try to get one of those DVD sets, then skip forward 10 minutes into the podcast. We're not actually going to spoil the ending, but we're going to cover quite a bit of it.
Enough to give you hints of,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Again, what Kevin said is right. You're better off going into this one clean.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, came out this year, just a few weeks ago actually, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, written by him, and Pierre Oscar Levy and Frederick Peters, stars Gail Garcia Bernal, Vicky Creeps, and Rufus Sewell. I watch Rufus Sewell in anything.
Oh, yeah, I could watch him read the phone book and be entertained.
Runtime, hour and 48 minutes. And if you really want to get a little bit of spoiler, go check out the trailer, which is also included on the website. Spoiler free. This is a good one to watch without even watching the trailer. See, we warn you there too.
Yes.
Going into this one as spoiler free as possible would be the best experience as you're trying to figure out what's going on. But there's a mysterious situation on an isolated beach, and two families must find a way out.
And a few other folks tossed in, too.
Oh, yeah, there are a couple others. Mm-hmm. But we both liked it, and we both recommend it.
Yeah, big thumbs up.
All right. So, the synopsis, which does have some spoilers, it doesn't go all the way and ruin the ending, but...
I will read the synopsis. Yeah. A family drives through the tropical jungle on their way to Anamika Resort. Guy and Priska and their two children, Trent and Maddox, arrive at the fancy resort. And this place is nice. It's luxurious and catered to everything.
Yeah, they're a normal-looking young couple, and the daughter, Maddox, is 11, and Trent is, I think he said 6. Yeah, so they're very annoying. There's little kids in these movies, you just want to... well, they get what's coming to them.
Guy and Priska are planning to tell the kids after the vacation that she's got a serious illness, and they're splitting up as well. Well, the kids make friends with Idlib, a little kid, a little boy, who says he has no friends.
He's the son of the manager of the resort.
Nephew.
Oh,
nephew
okay, all right.
Resort owner, yeah. Well, Idlib sends Trent a message using a secret alphabet, but he figures it out, and then sends him another message that Trent doesn't, just kind of tucks away.
No time for that.
Yeah. Well, the manager recommends a very exclusive, private, secret beach on the other edge of the island, just for this family and a few other select people that he has, handpicked out of this crowd of people that's at this resort. So, the next day, and actually they show, meanwhile, another couple is on an isolated beach somewhere. Woman takes off her top and heads for the water.
And that's all we see of that.
Yeah, just a little teaser. Well, back at the resort, Dr. Charles helps Patricia, one of the guests, couple of the guests, and she's having a seizure. Her husband is Jaron. Guy's family and Dr. Charles' family get in the bus. They're all the exclusive people. Driven by M. Night, which he often does.
Cameo.
He puts himself in his movies quite often, yeah. And they're driven to the off-limits nature preserve. It's even fenced in. The driver has brought a ton of food for them, which is kind of weird and confusing. And the area is surrounded by high cliffs, but they find the beach without any problems after going through a narrow path in the cliffs.
It's only one way in and out of this beach.
Seems to be, yeah, but it's a really nice beach.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Well, they spot Mid-Sized Sedan, a famous rapper, and that's his stage name, on the beach. And
he's the only one there. He's all by himself.
Mm-hmm. And he's just sitting on the rocks doing nothing. We recognize that he was on the beach with that woman earlier. The kids find a bunch of stuff on the beach, toys, cell phones, sunglasses, and other things. Trent notices that there are no fish, and then a dead body floats by. It's the woman from earlier that was with Mid-Sized Sedan. Sedan explains she swam out by herself and he won't say anything more. And he's had a nosebleed for hours, he says. His nose is bleeding.
Yeah.
Well, Agnes, the grandmother, is having chest pains. Charles says there's no phone reception. Jaron and Patricia arrive from the resort. They come in late. Jaron, when things start getting weird, he tries to walk back to the road, but he passes out on the way and wakes up on the beach. Like he's
we
teleported.
never really find out how they get back to the beach.
No, they never show that, but it happens. You try to leave, and boom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Agnes stops breathing. Charles tries CPR, and this was neat how they did this. They stopped showing the kids directly.
Yeah, just little peeks from behind the kids and stuff. Yeah.
Well, Jaron guesses the kids' ages, but he's off by about 6 or so years. And Priska doesn't recognize her now teenage children.
What?
They have grown. Yeah.
They've only been there like an hour or so.
Yeah, what's up with this? Well, it's more than an hour. It's been...
they work out the math later.
Yeah. Well, Charles and Sedan try to get back out the way they came, and they both wake up back on the beach. Charles, he's kind of flaking out a little bit. He cuts Sedan on the cheek, but the wound almost instantly heals. So there's weirdness going on.
Yeah, he slashes him, and then when they all run over to see how bad off it is, it's just a little scar.
And then the dog suddenly dies, almost of old age.
Yeah,
or something. Yes. Well, Sedan says he has a blood clotting disease, and his dead girlfriend had just been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Priska had a possibly benign tumor that has suddenly got a lot worse. Charles tries to cut it out, but the skin heals over instantly. And that's a neat...
That is a neat effect,
neat.
yeah.
They
cut her open, and it just reseals.
So they have to actually reach in and hold the incision open.
And the tumor says it's growing in around their fingers, too.
Yeah.
So they got really hurry.
It was, and the tumor is like visually growing. It, started out the size of a,
golf
ball, and then it's like this big old, grapefruit sized thing. But they do get it out, and Priska is better afterwards. And the dead woman, however, has decomposed to a skeleton.
That was fast.
Yeah.
We're told that should take 7 years.
Yeah, well, they start doing the math and figure that 60 minutes is about equals to 2 years of time passing, or 2 years of aging. Trent and Kara, the two kids, come back from...
They were just spending time in the tent.
Just spending time alone in the tent, yes. Well, Kara is suddenly much fatter. She's pregnant.
Very
pregnant, very fast, yeah. And will give birth in about 20 minutes.
And I think at this point, maybe we should just stop.
Okay.
If you want to read the whole thing, go to the website, horrorguys.com, and find the thing to read.
Uh-huh.
Or, the whole thing will be in the newsletter. But let's just stop it there, that point.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to skip forward.
It's weird and interesting and well done. Special effects are great. The makeup is really good.
Yeah,
subtle and
Obviously, there's a time thing going on here, and they're aging quickly. That's already kind of come out.
Yeah,
and they look good as they get older.
Yeah.
So watching the people try to figure out the rules and the process of the beach was very interesting. The subtle aging makeup is very good. Charles' descent into mental illness is great, and the grown-up kids. But I thought the grown-up kids were awfully knowledgeable for 6-year-olds.
Well, at first they're not. I mean, when she gets pregnant, they've got the minds of 6-year-olds. Don't know what's going on.
But when it comes time to take care of the old people, they seem to be
later
really
they do
mature.
seem awfully adultish.
Yeah, like yesterday they were 6 years old.
Yeah. Well, part of the process, I guess.
Yeah, okay. So the conclusion, the end of the movie, which I'm not going to spoil, makes a lot of sense. It's a little brutal, a little evil, but it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that I really believe that the situation would end the way it's... I don't like the ending.
Okay. I thought it was okay.
I don't think it's completely believable.
Okay. Well, it's not believable. The whole thing's not believable.
Well, I mean, if this were a situation like this, I think...
I don't know.
It wouldn't play out like that.
Yeah. This one needs to be taught in...
ethics
classes.
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah. All right, so enough of old. Sign up for those various places. I'll win your free copy. We'll be sending them out on the 22nd to 5 lucky winners. Mm-hmm. All right, next up we have... What is this, a horror movie? No. A documentary? No, what are you laughing about?
Because we're watching this movie.
Oh, yes.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Discovery from 2021.
I just kind of glanced at the trailer.
Yeah.
And said, yeah, looks good. I mean, it looked good quality.
The runtime is an hour and 17 minutes.
Well into it. Like, what was it, 45 minutes? Close to an hour?
Close to an hour.
I said, this is a real documentary, isn't it?
He was expecting found footage.
Well, we watched the Asylum one, and there's the Blair Witch and all these kind of things, that are mockumentaries. And, I was expecting Bigfoot to start popping out and ripping people's arms off. And, and it was like, oh, these are real people.
It was very well done for actors, weren't they?
It was, very realistic.
Okay, so no, anyway, this is a, quote, serious Bigfoot documentary.
Yeah.
Which we have not done before.
Not a mockumentary.
We have not done a cryptid movie before that's not like a horror movie.
Uh-huh.
Directed and written by Seth Breedlove. Stars Seth Breedlove, hour and 17 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. And the spoiler-free Judgment Zone says... We will follow cryptid documentarian Seth Breedlove and his crew as they head to Washington State for an intensive, adventure-filled week searching for Sasquatch, and with the Olympic Project. It's a group of Sasquatch hunters.
That's real.
It's a real group, yes.
Yes.
It's got great scenery, a couple of creepy stories told from eyewitness reports, and is overall very well made. Mm-hmm. It looked great.
Yeah, I thought so.
So what did you think? You liked it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting, very thought-provoking, and I'm skeptical about it, but until proven otherwise, Bigfoot can't be ruled out, basically. I'm skeptical of some of the aspects of this movie, and but they're taking it seriously.
It's a good documentary.
They keep looking, and
Bigfoot himself was kind of sketchy.
We don't see actually Bigfoot in.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Or do we?
There's no actual.
Well, we start out with a man who took a photo of what he later decided must have been a Bigfoot, and credits roll. We never come back to that guy. It's not disproven one way or the other, so it could be. Mm-hmm. Breedlove then narrates about why people still look for Bigfoot, even though science denies that it exists. Why does he live in the Pacific Northwest? Well, they speculate. Maybe it's the rainfall. Maybe it's the climate. This is followed by several tales of long-ago encounters with Sasquatch.
And they compare the climate to places in Asia and overseas that have a similar climate that do have apes.
Yep.
That thrive in that habitat.
And there is a comparison that, it could be some kind of ape family or offshoot or something like that.
Yeah.
The camera crew accompanies a group called the Olympic Project, which then heads to what is called the Nest Site. He talks to men with video recorders, still cameras, audio recorders, and other equipment along the journey. They each have their own encounter stories. We then see video of the Nest Site, a large area that has twigs and sticks in a really big nest shape. A couple people lay down in it, and it's a big nest. Mm-hmm. There were 6 of these big nests. One local hunter and guide says they were identical to gorilla nests that you can see other places.
Primates make, yeah. Uh-huh.
Could it be a defensive arrangement? A nursery area? Well, the film wraps up with unanswered questions. Mm-hmm. But it's all very interesting.
And stories, and
Okay, so my commentary is I hadn't told Kevin that this was a documentary before we started. I just assumed he knew that. The film was almost over when he asked, "Is this a real documentary?" He literally thought this was going to be a found footage style that was just dragging out the exposition. He kept waiting for an attack.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, what? Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
Well, the majority of the footage and discussion revolves around the nest, a group of several heavily mashed down and interwoven sticks made into a sort of mattress. And, of course, this is my commentary and my opinion.
Skeptical.
These were found by a local guide and hunter who still brings people to see these nests on a regular basis, just like he did with a camera crew. I can only assume he gets paid to do that. Just saying.
Maybe.
So whether you think there's a Bigfoot out there or not, the film looks great. Mm-hmm. The scenery is wonderful, and it'd be fun to go there and wander the woods even without finding anything. So maybe that's one of the reasons they do this.
Well, and I thought it really did a good job, too, because you tend to think of people, and you see people in the media, and the media tends to portray the worst of the lot. UFO enthusiasts and Bigfoot
Conspiracy
enthusiasts.
theorists. And
they're loony.
Yeah.
Some of them are just nuts. And these are just...
And those are the ones that always get on the news.
And these are just ordinary folks.
Yeah, they're not crazy.
Yeah.
They're not even all that... Well, some of them are kind of weird.
So I liked
most
that.
of them are.
I liked that showed just ordinary folks that are into this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There are a large number of interviews from local experts, but instead of hiring reenactors for some of the stories, they have some nice-looking animated sequences. Mm-hmm. Some of the stories are well told and pretty creepy, so if you are a Bigfoot believer or just a fan, this is definitely worth watching. Yeah, we liked it.
Yep. Thumbs up.
Not convinced that Bigfoot is real.
No, not convinced yet. No.
But the movie is good.
Yeah.
All right, and we watched a really weird short this week.
Lobster Girl.
And Other Tales. Lobster Girl and Other Tales from 2021. Directed by James Neal. Written by Jay Morvay. Stars Jim Mola and Amy Mola. Runtime 29 minutes, so it's kind of a long short. Mm-hmm. And we have a YouTube link where you can just go watch the whole thing right now.
Yep, it's out there to watch. It's animated, not like a typical cartoon. It's got some different
Various
styles
different
throughout
types
it.
of animation. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, it's a sort of anthology of animated horror tales with various animation styles. The story of Lobster Girl is broken into 3 parts, with other stories of varying quality interspersed. If you like weird fiction and creepy animation, this is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. We start out with Lobster Girl, Part 1. Well, okay. Okay.
You weren't
Jake
that
has
impressed
had... Well, yeah, I was. Jake has had his hands transformed into claws so that he can be with Lobster Girl. She said he would have to feel her pain before she would marry him. So he's had surgery to have his hands turned into claws.
That's serious love.
Yeah. And my comment on this segment is it's like a comic book turned into an animated movie with both 2D and 3D effects. Very nice. Then we move to the next segment called Godless, where a man describes getting a girl pregnant back in the 50s. He doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. Abortions were illegal in those days, but there were ways. She's well into her sixth month, but they convince the doctor to do the procedure anyway. The baby comes out alive. Now what?
Problem.
Okay, this one uses a sort of rotoscope effect done over super low resolution video, probably from stock footage would be my guess. This sort of thing used to happen a lot in the 1950s, and it still happens from time to time now. Next segment, called All Aboard. And there's really not a story here, it's just some graphics to look at. It's very nice, very creepy, black and white images, but there's no real story, and it's very short, like maybe a minute. There should have been more to this, because it was really cool images.
Left you wanting more.
Which takes us over to 666 House Street, where a mother kills her demon-possessed children. And this one was over before I realized it wasn't part of All Aboard. It goes from the one story into the other. It was fine, but having the title at the end of this segment was more confusing than it should have been. Which takes us to Lobster Girl Part 2. A lobster-handed girl and formerly abandoned child named Snow have some misadventures in an institution. A baby is produced who has miraculous powers.
Interesting.
The next segment is called Metamorphosex, where a woman recounts a rape incident. Is it possible that he was the only one who ever really cared about her? And this is a collection of painting-style images. Look kind of cool. And the final part is Lobster Girl Part 3, where Lobster Girl and Snow do battle. Jake, from the first part, waits on Lobster Girl's arrival until he finds out he's not Lobster Girl's only suitor. All right. Weird. And mostly spoiler-free there. You got to watch all those different segments and see how they tie together.
You should see it.
Yeah, 28 minutes. That may be the longest short we've ever covered. But it was good. We both liked it. Mm-hmm. Animation is different styles. Some are better than others, but it's all good. All right. So much for the good movies this year, or this week.
I bet you're going to talk about menopause next, aren't you?
I was going to go with Phantasm, but same difference.
Well, I liked menopause. I liked Ravager better than menopause.
All right, let's talk about menopause.
Okay.
We go out on a high note.
Okay.
Menopause 2021, written and directed by Joshua Nelson. Stars Steve Andriolo, Jeff Clark Jr., and Glenn Del Grosso. Notice that there's 3 men that star in this. Mm-hmm. Do you remember any of the men in this movie?
Yeah.
There's a lot of women in this.
Yeah.
All right, well,
it's
1 hour...
It's definitely female heavy, but yeah, I remember.
1 hour, 24 minutes, and there's a trailer where you can watch the trailer on YouTube. Spoiler-free. An eclipse-fueled, deranged, pseudo-feminist, definitely anti-man, murder spree. How could you go wrong with that?
And throw in some semi-Wiccan...
Yep.
Blood magic, paganism, full moon worship kind of stuff, too. Yeah.
How could you go wrong with those topics? First, by alienating all the male viewers, and then by alienating all the female viewers. Yeah.
Well,
this may not be the worst movie we've seen this all year, but I wouldn't promise.
Well,
it's...
Yeah, it had moments.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Okay.
All right, so...
You're gonna utterly eviscerate this one, aren't you?
I think I have to. I think I really have to.
Huh.
A woman stabs someone excessively and is soon covered in blood. Afterward, she has ice cream. Credits roll. A woman whines to her husband about not spending enough time together after 23 years. He always has something to do on the weekends. Well, he promises to work on that problem, but not this weekend. He has an important softball game. A guy wants to do something for his friend's birthday. The girl wants to go to Disney. He wants some kind of Amish road trip. A girl talks to her husband, but she's drunk and has all sorts of problems. He has cancer, and she's weak. But this time, it's good news. Another couple argue. She wants to buy thousands of dollars of clothes every day, and he has issues with that. Then... his ex-wife comes in demanding alimony. 3 women sit on a couch and talk about how the moon affects their periods. What? Yeah, this is some kind of vague support group.
Sort of, yeah.
Another woman comes in and starts talking about how she was abused. One of the women fantasizes about strangling the delivery man. I mean, who doesn't, though? A girl who accidentally got pregnant goes home to her sister. The sister has fantasized about killing her Uber driver. Again, who hasn't?
Well, but this is all happening at once. And
yeah.
It's very strange that all these women are... And did you notice that at the one scene there was the guy was reading the newspaper and there's a headline of 400 yes. men killed in one day.
Yeah.
Or 400 murders in one day. All men.
Well, the Strangle Fantasizer talks about an upcoming eclipse and the effect it'll have on people. Strange things happen, and they're about to get stranger. And then we have more discussion about the moon and the menstrual cycle. Suddenly, all these women think they're pregnant, but most of them haven't had sex in years.
Well, it's because their periods stop, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, no, and they do test
menopause.
Positive. Yeah. Well, they test positive for...
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
false alarms, though.
As time progresses and the eclipse takes over, all these women get more and more violent, first in fantasies, then in the real world. All right, well, if you're not gay and wondered why so many men are, watch this film. It'll clear up the confusion.
Dang. Harsh.
Yeah, women are bad. I mean, I think the film tries to go the other direction, but wow. The production values are quite good. The acting is decent for a film of this budget, but the story just has too many characters.
It did have a lot, didn't
There are a lot of characters, none of whom seem to have names, except for one guy named Rick. He's the only one I caught a name from.
There were names here and there, but yeah, it was pretty name light.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can recognize who's who after a while, but
Yeah.
names would help. Instead of 10 women, most of whom are coupled with men, it would have been much more bearable of a film with maybe 4, maybe 5 of these. Cut out some of these stories. There's a little bit of well-done gore toward the end, but considering the story, not as much gore as you might expect. Still, I kind of have to wonder who the intended audience is for this film. I can't picture most male horror fans sitting through all the menstruation talk and shrill nagging of the first hour. I guess you could argue that it's a feminist film, but I can't imagine any woman identifying with any of these characters. None of them are sympathetic in any way. Most of them are pretty darn annoying. So, if I rule out all the men, and then I rule out all the women, well, our cat didn't hate it, but she slept through most of it.
Wow. So if you get the impression that Brian really, really, really didn't like it, yeah.
Still, if you want to see a bunch of deranged women kill a bunch of guys that's got it coming, give it a shot. Oh, boy.
Well,
You weren't quite so harsh?
I didn't hate it like he did, but yeah, I can't say a whole lot good about it. But yeah, it was
anything that I said wrong?
harsh. You were harsh. Yeah, I'm not going to harsh it that bad.
Okay.
I give it a middle rating, but 5-ish, 6-ish. Yeah.
A good attempt, but too long.
These people worked hard on this movie.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I just think it would have been improved a whole lot by cutting out a few of the characters. There's too much. That was really my biggest gripe there. It was too many people, too much flapping back and forth. Just, yeah, get it on with it.
Yeah.
It would have made 5 or 6 good shorts. All right, so over the past couple months, we've been talking about Phantasm off and on. Did Phantasm 1, Phantasm 2, Phantasm 3 and 4, and today is the 5th one.
And they wrap it up. Now, they could do more, I suppose, if they brought Angus Scrim back as a CGI version of him. They did it with other actors. They've done it.
It could be done.
It could be done, but yeah, this wraps it up.
I don't think so.
The tall man is no longer with us.
Yeah.
He died in 2016.
Phantasm Ravager from 2016. And last week we did Phantasm Oblivion, which has that word letters IV and Oblivion.
Yeah, that was clever how they worked that
This
in.
one has Ravager with a V in the middle for 5.
Yep.
So, okay. Directed by David Hartman. Written by Don Coscarelli and David Hartman. Stars A. Michael Baldwin, Reggie Bannister, and Don Cody. Basically, most of the same characters from all the other movies.
Bring them back again, plus throw in a few others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do add some new characters.
Yeah, there's Chunk and...
Runtime, hour and 25 minutes. Trailer in the show notes as usual. Spoiler-free Judgment Zone. Here's where this one really went wrong. Part 4 was made in 1998. This one was made in 2016. 18 years between segments. They had the same characters.
And they looked older, of course.
Oh, yeah, they looked older.
So they worked hard to explain that. Which I thought they pulled off.
Well, in the original the original Phantasm from 1980 or thereabouts, Mike was a teenager. He was maybe 16 or 17. And this one here, he's old and he's wrinkled.
He's
balding.
He's no longer a young man even. Yeah,
he's close. He's well in his 50s, maybe 60s. I didn't check.
He's a bit older. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was made 18 years after the previous film, and it's just been too long. The characters are all just too old for this stuff. The story is a confusing mess of time and dimensional jumping, but at least it does still have the tall man, so that's cool.
And I didn't think it was that confusing. I followed it.
I
thought it was interesting.
Followed it too. I've seen it more than once.
Yeah, well, maybe seeing it more than once helped.
But I think they were just cutting too many things in there, and it really detracted. If they had just stuck with the one main timeline, it would have been better. But they had a lot of old footage again.
Timelines and a lot of footage.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cleverly done.
Okay.
To hide their ages and explain their ages.
Oh, yeah. Explaining their ages, definitely. Yeah. Because
a lot of time.
There's no hiding it.
A lot of time hopping back and forth and dimensional hopping. And,
yeah. Well, Reggie walks out of the desert, his ice cream battle suit obviously showing a lot of wear. He gives a quick recap of everything that has happened in the other films. Reggie explains that he's the only one left, but obviously he hasn't given up. Credits roll. Watch the first movie, you'd never guess Reggie turns out to be the superhero.
Sure enough, he does.
As Reg walks past a demolished house, a corpse inside wakes up. Back to walking down the road, a guy stops and agrees to drive Reggie to town for $50. It turns out it's Reggie's stolen car, and he wastes no time in getting it back. A pair of steel balls fly down the road. One kills the car thief, and the other goes after Reggie's car. Reg looks on, locks one in his glove compartment, and tries to outrun the other one. Then, Reggie wakes up in a wheelchair in a nursing home. He's being pushed by Mike. Mike looks really old now, and so does Reggie. Reg doesn't know why he's here, but Mike explains that they found him wandering in the desert like Moses. Mike explains that Reggie has dementia.
And it's all in his head.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Now they've opened a door there. How much of all this stuff was just made up?
Uh-huh.
Reggie tells the story again. Reg is in the desert looking for a sphere and the tall man. He picks up a girl on the side of the road. She's Dawn, and she needs a ride. He stays the night at her place, and she seems nice. It's never worked
His
for
girls
Reggie,
always
does it?
seem nice.
Yeah, until they try to eat him.
Or kill him, or
Yeah.
He has the worst luck.
Oh, yeah. He finally gets to sleep, and we see the tall man and a silver sentinel waiting outside. Reggie wakes up in the hospital, and the tall man is the patient in the bed next to him. Only he's not. He's Jebediah Morningside. The two have a conversation. Old Jeb says they brought them both here to die. You'll never be safe, he says.
Yeah, it's basically kind of a hospice, super old people's situation. Yeah.
Reg wakes up back at Dawn's house. He goes upstairs to find a ball drilling into her head. Reggie runs out to the car and loads up every weapon in existence into his bag. Yeah, that bag's not big enough for all those guns.
He really packs heat.
He runs into Demeter, Dawn's farmhand, who doesn't speak English. The two men battle spheres in the barn. Back in the present, Mike and Reg talk about the possibilities that one could be in two dimensions at once. This world is fine, but maybe Reggie has been traveling to another dimension with the tall man. Back in the past, Reggie sees a huge silver sphere in the sky. He also finds a portal. Suddenly, he's back with Mike in the wheelchair. Maybe he is shifting between realities. Mike suddenly isn't there, but he does hear a familiar humming noise, which leads him to another portal. Both versions of Reggie go through the portal at the same time. The tall man is there. Our paths cross again. He has a plan to make everything better, but Reggie has to stay out of his way. Reggie can even have his family back. Reggie finds himself in another mausoleum. There's at least one evil dwarf running around, too. He kills the dwarf eventually, but then finds himself on the tall man's homeworld. Reggie demands Mike and Jody be returned, but the tall man won't cooperate. You're not even real. You're my bad dream, says the tall man. It's getting a little confusing at this point.
It is, yeah.
It
What's
is.
real and what's not. And
Reg
who's
is-
real and who's not.
Reg is rescued by Jane, who looks exactly like Dawn, and Chunk, a non-evil little person. Chunk soon saves Reg from an undead dwarf. Chunk takes him to see Mike, and Mike explains that Reg has been on ice for the past decade. Nothing is the same. It's a whole different world now.
And on this Earth, the tall man has fully taken over pretty much.
Yeah, he
There's
has.
just a small number of
Post-apocalyptic
rebels.
kind of thing.
Yeah, these rebels that are holding on.
They open a door, and Reg sees the earth burning with spheres, large and small, roaming the streets, killing humans wherever they find them. Apparently they find them all standing out in the middle of the road for some reason. This is now the tall man's world. Back in the nursing home, Reg spots an old man with a walker. It's the tall man, sorta. He's slipping between worlds much faster now. Mike comes to see him, and now he's having those same strange dreams. We get flashbacks of giant spheres, laser-blasting buildings, and alien viruses being released on Earth.
Yeah, this one was more science fiction-y, I think.
A lot
than
more
any of them.
CGI, yes.
Well, yeah, more CGI, but more science fiction-y than any of them have been.
Yeah. The world basically ended, but they're still trying to fight the tall man.
And it's only, one world.
Yeah.
There's multiple dimensional Earths, multiple versions of.
And there's a tall man for all of them.
And there's a tall man in each one, yeah.
Yeah, the tall
as he
man
later tells us.
exists in huge numbers in more dimensions than they imagine, he says.
Yeah, that was a neat scene where they show the endless row of
Yeah,
tall
there's
men.
a lot of him.
Yeah.
He looks essentially invincible. There's another battle or 12, and they're soon picked up by Jody and the muscle car again. Then we move to the hospital once more, where Reggie dies. In the battle world, however, he still fights on. Mm-hmm. All right, well, something happened there.
Yeah.
It's probably easier to follow watching it than going through that description, but yeah, it's kind of a jumble.
Yeah. And Jebediah Morningside, they showed. That was the previous one, right? Where they showed
him in
the
his
origin.
machine, yes.
Yeah, he was just a regular guy and invented this portal thing. And he went into the portal, and the tall man came out.
Yeah.
Basically
Possessed him.
or adapted him as the avatar
Right,
that it uses. It's kind of a thing, really, more than a person, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, time has caught up with all the cast. It was 18 years between Phantasm 4 and 5. Reggie Bannister, the actor, was 71 when this was filmed, and Angus Scrimm was 89 and died the same year this was released, although he did live long enough to see it. Mm-hmm. That might have been what the cause of death was.
Nah.
Well, let's just say they both looked mighty natural in those hospital beds.
Yeah, playing their own age. Yeah.
Still, it's Reggie versus the tall man, and we got to see all the actors for one final send-off, which was nice. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that's about all I can say good about this one. The lower budget and super ambitious plot means it relies heavily on CGI, which unfortunately is not very good. All the time jumping is more disorienting for us than it was for Reggie.
A bigger budget would have been nice.
Yeah, better CGI, bigger budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that this was funded through Kickstarter or one of those kind of things. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's fan paid for.
Okay.
It's one film too far, though. I like the ideas presented here, but everyone was just too old, and nothing really looked right because of it.
Nah, I thought it was good. I think you should check it out.
It was partially filmed in 2008 with Reggie fighting stuff, and then more in 2014 with Old Man Reg and Mike in the nursing home. Mm-hmm. So they filmed, the action scenes in 2008 and ran out of money.
They splice them all together in this one.
And it took so long for them to get more money that...
Plus some unseen footage from the first movie,
always,
too. They throw that in there. Yeah.
It jumps all over time and space, and it's pretty disjointed because of it. It does offer an ending that's just way over the top, but at least it is an ending.
Chunk is pretty badass in this.
And there is an after-credit scene that you gotta watch, and it implies that there could be more, but I suspect there won't be.
Yeah.
I think they've pretty much played this one out now.
Yeah, I think so.
Good series while it lasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is our show. Thanks for joining us. Stop in during the week at horrormovieguys.com for news, horror updates, and the full reviews, because we didn't give you the full details on Old to spoil it, but they are there. And get ready for next week where we'll be watching some more classics.
What are we going to see?
Leatherface from 2017.
A prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's the most recent of the series, and it's also the first in the series. That's weird.
How did Leatherface become Leatherface?
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982.
Ooh.
Gungeum, Haunted Asylum from 2017. And Amityville Cop from just a couple years ago.
Amityville.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, zombie cops.
Okay.
You don't sound enthusiastic.
Well, it's just that we've already seen it.
All right. Well, don't forget, do one of those things. Sign up for Horror Movie Guys on Twitter, Horror Bulletin on Twitter, Substack. I said that wrong. horrorbulletin.substack.com. Or send us an email if you're listening to the podcast. There will be a page on the website where we have all the different ways you can do this, so You don't have to write this down. Probably should have told you that half an hour ago.
Yeah, don't stress about it. Just check out the website.
HorrorGuys.com/giveaway. And you'll find all the details there. Yeah, that would have been good like an hour ago. It's our first big giveaway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.